If you ever doubted it, you know now. Blizzard loves you, the player of Diablo 3. A huge buff to bounty caches. They've taken bounties from being something very painful to do into something that's very rewarding and kind of fun with how frequently you can get legendaries. Let's check out the change. The drop rates for bounty-specific legendaries has been drastically increased and scales based on game difficulty. Even to say drastically increased is an understatement. Let's go down to the bottom note here. Although there's no listed drop rates on specific legendaries, at Torment 2, it's a 50% chance to get a legendary. At Torment 6, it's guaranteed. That's awesome. And just from personal experience, Torment 2 seems to be even higher than 50%. I get them probably at least 75 to 80% of the time, just in my experience so far. So with this new change, it opens up some options on how to spot farm for legendaries. Let's check out the legendaries that drop from each different act bounty caches, and I'll give you guys my input on what I think you should be farming up depending on what your build is and what your class is. I think the best way to approach it is to look at your gear and decide what you need most. If you need a helm really bad, the only one is Pride's Fall. It's good for a Demon Hunter, although not too good for anything else. If you need shoulders, the only one drops from the Act 1 bounties is the Pauldron of the Skeleton King. Nothing too special, really. There's not a good chest option unless you're a Demon Hunter, and that one is mediocre at best. And bracers is another weak spot with the Act 1 bracers. I recommend just getting the Reaper's Wraps instead. The gloves, however, on the other hand, that is actually going to be a good one to farm up from bounties now. You can get the Gloves of Worship, which can be really useful long term, unless your end game tier set or your end game set requires the gloves. The belt, nothing too special there. The pants, Death's Bargain can be good, I suppose. I haven't seen them used too well yet. Boots, Illusory Boots, and Boots of Disregard. So those pieces of gear, nothing really too special outside of the Gloves of Worship. However, the real highlights come from how easy it's going to be to get rings, amulets, and weapons. Now, I think the rings and the amulets are really going to be the best thing to target farm, because with legendary gems, you want to have rings and amulets with sockets in them, if you can help it. And this allows you to spot farm for specific rings and specific amulets. First up is the Act 1 Ring of Royal Grandeur. You're going to want to farm this anyways, because almost every single class is going to find this very useful. So if you can get one with a good roll, maybe like some crit damage or crit chance, something like that, and you can also get a socket on it, that would be ideal. Act 3 does drop an Avarice Band, which always has crit on it, so it's not a bad option to spot farm that one too. However, the Act 5 Pandemonium Loop is probably not going to be one that you really want to target farm. There's nothing very special about that one. When it comes to the amulets, the Act 1 Golden Amulet of Leoric is actually a pretty good amulet to get. It always has crit chance and always has resist all. The Act 3 one is nothing very special at all. It always has attack speed and cooldown reduction, so it does not leave you a lot of room for the other stats that you really want to get. So Act 1 is looking really good for spot farming those rings and amulets. When it comes to weapons, Act 1 is another highlight. The Mad Monarch Scepter drops from Act 1, and so if you use one-handed weapons, you're definitely going to want to hit Act 1 pretty hard until you get that. And now with the bounty change, it's not going to take you very long to get that Mad Monarch Scepter. Act 3 does drop another one-handed weapon if you need a second one. The Envious Blade, it can be pretty good, but it's really nothing too special. All you Demon Hunters out there, you're going to want to hit up Act 5 for that crossbow with the Hell Trapper. It's really good, too, with the Marauder 6-piece bonus as well. Two-handed weapons, the Act 3 Burst of Wrath, I think, is probably the highlight here because it always has a socket. So if you just hit level 70, go ahead and head to Act 3 to get yourself a weapon that you do not need to spend a lot of resources on in order to roll a socket into it. When it comes to the offhands, the two shields that drop, one in Act 2, one in Act 5, are really nothing special. Salvation, however, has a really cool transmog, so definitely check that one out. So there you have it. That's what I'd recommend hitting. The way that I approach this is I prioritize the items that I need the most. Act 1 is probably going to be the smartest option to go farm straight until you get all the items that you really want, because there's so much that drops from that. There's the rings, the amulets, and then the weapon too. And so you can get a lot from there. Beyond that, just kind of take a look at your gear. What's the weakest one? If you have not been able to gamble up a piece or just get a drop to fill that in, bounties are actually now a reasonable source of spot farming for certain legendaries to kind of fill in, get rid of some of those rares, especially once you just hit level 70. Now, this may not be too relevant for anyone at the high tiers of gear right now, but it will still be useful when it comes to getting that best Mad Monarch Scepter or that best Ring of Royal Grandeur or something like that. So how have you guys been using this new bounty change? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.